3:47 a.m. Cheboksary, Russia. While the entire city was still fast asleep, an air raid siren suddenly blared shrilly, shattering the silent night. High in the sky, two massive black shadows were hurtling toward the city at a terrifying speed, 500 miles per hour. Their target was none other than the VNIIR-Progress plant, the heart of top-secret guidance system production, the birthplace of the brains behind thousands of dangerous weapon systems, such as the Shahed, Iskander, and Caliber. This facility is considered one of the Kremlin's most inviolable and critical defense installations. Until tonight, Russian military officials were certain that a rear base as deep as 930 miles like Cheboksary was completely secure, and they had repeated the belief that nothing can penetrate us for months as an unquestionable truth. However, Ukraine has never followed the conventional rules of conventional warfare. This devastating strike did not actually begin with the two black shadows screeching across the Cheboksary sky. It had been triggered earlier, originating from 7 other black shadows silently and coldly cutting through the waves of the Black Sea hundreds of miles away. 8 hours earlier, in a top-secret command bunker in Ukraine, operations officers had finalized the last details of an unprecedented multi-layered strike plan. Amid the West's continued hesitation over geopolitical red lines and the trickle of long-range weaponry aid, Ukraine was forced to put itself in a life-or-death situation, deploying all of its best domestic drones to make an all-or-nothing gamble deep into Russian territory. Kyiv has calculated every move down to the minute along a strike corridor stretching thousands of kilometers. 4 Lyuty reconnaissance drones were ordered to silently depart their launch pads, setting a flight path lasting over 7 hours straight toward Cheboksary to stretch and exhaust Russia's air defense network along the Volga corridor. Over an hour earlier, the first 2 FP-5 Flamingo missiles had already taken off, cutting through the wind. Exactly 10 minutes later, the second wave of Flamingos followed suit. Ukraine is not striking blindly. They are decisively setting the stage for a classic decoy scenario where the real trigger is actually set off from the water's surface. 3:35 a.m. While the drones in the rear were still tirelessly cutting through the clouds, the first wave of decoys officially emerged on the Black Sea front. 7 Magura V5, 5 suicide boats skimmed the surface, slicing through the waves straight toward the Kerch Strait. Among them, 4 carried explosive charges of up to 100 kilograms, while the remaining 3 served as reconnaissance units to gather signals and conduct electronic suppression. Flying directly above this critical front line were 3 Lyuty drones. As soon as they entered the ideal zone, the 3 Lyuty drones suddenly accelerated, deliberately exposing themselves on Russian radar as a direct invitation. The Russian air defense system immediately took the bait. The Panzer S-1 systems on shore quickly locked onto the targets. 2 57E6 missiles left their launchers tearing through the sky. The 2 leading Lyuty drones maneuvered sharply, weaving constantly, but the warhead's explosions created a dense shower of shrapnel, just a split-second delay. Impact. 2 fireballs erupted in mid-air. At the same time, the Tor M2 system initiated a sweep, launching a 9M331 missile at a lower angle, striking the last Lyuty, causing it to burst into flames and sink completely into the thick smoke. 3:42 a.m. The aerial decoy eliminated, and that was the signal. Immediately, 7 Magura V5S surfaced. The 3 lead reconnaissance drones accelerated to full throttle, charging straight into the formation of the 2 Russian warships. It took the Russians only 5 seconds to recognize the threat. The gun turrets swiveled. The 30mm machine guns roared. Bright red tracer rounds sliced across the sea's surface, forming a dense wall of fire. The 2 lead Maguras were hit repeatedly, their hulls ripped open, losing stability, lurching, and then exploding into columns of white water. The third one skimmed close to the water's surface, exploiting every gap between the bullet trails, grazing the ship's hull and causing minor damage, before being brought down by concentrated fire just as it neared its target. But that wasn't the main strike yet. 4 Magura drones carrying live warheads broke formation. The first 2 locked onto the FSB patrol boat PSKA-300 Sobol. Russia immediately deployed 14.5mm MTPU heavy machine guns. Tracer rounds whistled, tearing the sea's surface into streaks of light. The 2 drones didn't charge straight ahead. They zigzagged constantly, forcing the enemy to fire in pursuit, wasting ammunition and disrupting their aim. The lead drone was hit. Smoke billowed from its hull and its speed dropped slightly. But in that very moment, the second drone behind it accelerated. It plunged through the gap that had just been created. The distance was closed in less than 2 seconds. Impact. A horrific explosion ripped through the Sobol's hull. Fierce flames erupted, reflecting a crimson glow across the sea. There was no pause. The last two Maguras immediately turned, closing in on the Grachonok-class escort ship. The Russian response was half a beat too slow. By the time the machine guns opened fire, the distance had been reduced to a dangerous level. Tracer rounds sliced across the water. A barrage of fire grazed the lead ship, but not enough to divert its course. Both Magura ships made no further evasive maneuvers. They charged straight ahead. No maneuvering, no hesitation, only speed. Two near-simultaneous collisions. Two consecutive explosions rocked the Grachonok's hull. The hull structure was completely shattered. Fire and water mingled into a massive column of smoke rising into the night sky. Witnessing the two warships guarding the Kerch Strait go up in flames, the Russian command reached a mistaken conclusion. They believed this was a full-scale assault targeting Crimea and the Kerch Bridge. The order was issued immediately: tighten all southern defenses. But in modern warfare, when you focus all your attention in one direction, you leave the other direction wide open. Just as the entire focus of the Russian defense system was pulled southward, where the two warships in the Kerch Strait were still burning fiercely, a deadly gap began to form in the rear, and Ukraine didn't miss a single second. 3:47 a.m., 2 FP-5 Flamingo missiles from the first wave had entered the final stage of their flight. They flew low, almost hugging the terrain, skimming the ground at breakneck speed. No longer slow targets like propeller-driven drones, the Flamingo is something entirely different. Faster, more agile, harder to intercept. This tactic is the hard-won lesson Ukraine distilled from its resoundingly successful raid on Morozovsk airport earlier. It's no different from how fishermen of old used to fish. Instead of using a huge float that scares the fish away, they use a thin, invisible line to bypass all conventional defensive rules. The sudden appearance of this high-speed weaponry placed Russia's domestic defense forces in an extremely precarious position, as they were forced to expose their strategic reserve air defense systems, which had been hidden to protect energy industrial facilities. And when they suddenly emerged above the radar horizon, alarm bells rang out. Identifying the threat hurtling toward them at supersonic speed, the Panzer S-1 crew had only a few seconds to react. The radar locked onto the target. The fire control computer calculated the trajectory. The launcher swiveled sharply. Launch. Two 57E-6 missiles left the tubes almost simultaneously. A sharp jolt. A long trail of fire erupts behind. The missiles shoot upward, then immediately plunge downward at an intercept angle, tracing two long white smoke trails across the night sky. But the 57E-6 do not pursue in the conventional sense. They continuously adjust their trajectory, locking onto the predicted point of intersection. The distance closed so rapidly it was nearly imperceptible to the naked eye. 10 meters, 7 meters, 5 meters. Detonation. Not a direct collision, but a warhead detonating with a proximity fuse. A cone of high-velocity metal shrapnel erupted, sweeping across the space ahead. The lead Flamingo was sliced clean through the midsection, exploding into a flash of white light. The second Flamingo tried to bank away, but the second wave of shrapnel had already arrived. A flash of sparks, a violent jolt, then it vanished. Both targets were obliterated nearly simultaneously, leaving two fading streaks of light against the black sky. In those few brief seconds, Russia had won. At least, they thought so, because Ukraine had calculated a more sophisticated layer of support hours earlier. 4 Lyuty long-range reconnaissance drones, which had been tirelessly cutting through the clouds for over 7 hours along the Volga corridors, began to accelerate and close in. Throughout their long journey, they constantly used the terrain to evade radar, occasionally deliberately flashing a signal before abruptly cutting it off to wear down the morale and overload the computational capacity of the Russian radar crews. 3:52 a.m. As the 4 Black Lyuty drones simultaneously closed in on the VNIIR-Progress plant from the southwest, the signals went haywire. Red alerts were triggered simultaneously. There was no time for analysis. Only reflexes remained. The Tor M2 fired first. The launcher rotated extremely quickly. A 9M331 missile shot straight up vertically, then banked, plunging toward the target with immense acceleration. No warning margin. The lead Lyuty was hit directly. A fireball erupted in midair. The Buk M3 entered the fray. Two 9M317M1 missiles left the launchers nearly simultaneously. The missiles accelerated at extreme speeds, leaving two thick plumes of smoke trailing behind them. They did not attack at a low angle. The two maneuvering Liuchi evaded, but this time there was no room left. Collision. Two deafening explosions rent the air. Liuchi number 2 and 3 had their frames completely snapped, shattering into pieces. The Russian air defense system operated flawlessly, too perfectly, and that very fact made them fail to notice the anomaly. The final Liuchi dove even lower. Hiding within the layers of jamming smoke and tracer rounds still suspended in the air, it vanished from the radar's direct line of sight for a few brief seconds. But those few seconds were enough. The gun swiveled, shells fired, but the angle of approach was too steep, the speed was too high, the trajectory barely grazed the rear. The Liuchi locked onto its sole target, the factory's long-range early warning radar station. Impact. A massive explosion erupted at the heart of the radar complex. A pillar of fire shot skyward. A shockwave swept across the entire area. The transmitting and receiving antennas were blown away. The automated defense logic chain coordinating between Pantsir Tor and Buk, the pride of Russian military engineering, was officially severed. The automatic fire control system paralyzed. In a few brief seconds, the entire air defense network in the Cheboksary region was plunged into a state of temporary blindness. And that was the moment when the real blow was about to strike. The very moment the final Liuchi crashed into the central radar station and ripped out the eyes of the entire Cheboksary regional air defense system, a deadly silence fell. No more synchronized fire control, no more complete target picture, only isolated gun crews, forced to fight on their own in the dark. 3:57 a.m., and Ukraine had been waiting for exactly this moment. Two FP-5 Flamingo missiles from the second launch were right on the edge of the target area, skimming the ground at extremely low altitude, maintaining an almost perfectly straight trajectory to maximize speed and minimize exposure time. Amid a semiconductor chip shortage choked by international sanctions protecting the Kometa production line, here is a matter of life and death for the Kremlin. Yet the current situation has thrust them into an extremely precarious predicament as the defense system loses its central control unit forced to fend for itself. Taking full advantage of the chaos and signal loss just created, the two Flamingos descended to their maximum altitude, switching to terrain-following mode to glide closely along the terrain, facing the risk of the nation's defense technology lifeline being severed. Military history has witnessed the domino-style collapse of empires due to a single weakened link, much like the 1943 bombing campaign targeting the Ruhr region's dams in Germany, which paralyzed the entire Nazi industrial complex in a single night. A single operational Panzer S-1 launcher was forced to activate its own radar, switching to independent search mode, a narrow scan area, a fleeting window, and then target acquired. The Russian crew pressed the fire button urgently. A salvo of 57 E-6 missiles left the launch tubes in rapid succession. Flames erupted from the rear. The missile bodies shook as they accelerated. They didn't circle, they didn't hunt. They charged straight along the shortest path, trying to intercept the target before it was too late. The control system immediately suffered a severe technical failure. The trajectory began to veer off course. It could no longer maintain an accurate flight path. The first Flamingo veers off the attack axis. It plummets lower still, losing control in stages, and crashes directly into the auxiliary fuel storage area at the edge of the plant. Boom. There is no massive fireball. Instead, a violent impact shatters the surface of the storage tank and releases a massive amount of unburned fuel, creating a thick, rapidly spreading cloud of smoke. In just a few seconds, a column of swirling gray-black smoke shot straight up, then spread out, blanketing the entire perimeter of the plant like a massive curtain. Optical visibility was choked off, completely paralyzing the Panzer's optical camera systems and infrared target lock, forcing them to grope in the dark. And what remained of the Russian defense system was nearly blinded a second time, this time by the environment itself. A bitter irony emerged as the multi-million-dollar defense technology once touted as invincible at arms fairs from the Gulf to East Asia was now brought down by a cheap plume of crude oil smoke. 4:01 a.m. It was in that very moment of chaos that the second FP-5 Flamingo pierced through the smoke. The distance was erased in mere seconds, and then impact. The Flamingo slammed straight into the center of the Kometa production facility, a perfect dive-bombing angle. Speed reached its maximum. It pierced through the roof and plunged deep inside before exploding. A massive explosion erupted from the core of the structure, triggering a chain reaction as electronic modules, guidance components, and sensitive materials were simultaneously destroyed. The pressure built up in the enclosed space exploded a second time, stronger and deeper, shattering the internal structure, tearing off the metal roof and warping the entire steel frame. Fierce flames erupted from within, seeping through the cracks, then rapidly spreading and merging with the thick smoke outside, transforming the entire VNIIR-Progress into a structure reduced to ashes from the core. Dawn was breaking over the Kerch Strait, but the early morning mist could not conceal the brutal reality. The FSB patrol ship PSKA-300 Sobol and the Grachonok-class escort vessel, expensive assets designed to assert control over the waters, were now nothing more than twisted wrecks, sunk deep to the bottom of the Black Sea or engulfed in raging flames. Yet the heaviest price the Russians paid last night lay hundreds of miles to the north. In Cheboksary, massive columns of black smoke from the VNIIR-Progress plant continued to billow skyward, turning the pride of an absolutely secure rear into a desolate heap of ashes. The deadly explosion at Flamingo ripped through the Kometa production facility, completely incinerating the assembly lines for positioning modules and anti-jamming GNSS antenna systems. This comes amid Russia's high-tech supply chain, which has already been choked by sanctions. And this devastating blow struck directly at the heart of production, causing severe disruptions to the production of precision-guided weapons like the Shahed and Iskander and Kalibr for months to come. In a single night, Ukraine's sophisticated strategic calculations upended the enemy's entire defense doctrine. Through flawless, multi-layered coordination from the sea to the high-altitude skies, Kyiv not only shattered the most fortified air defense networks, but also dealt a painful blow to Russia's defense economy. Bye for now.